So this video is going to be about the documentation website for Cozie. So the website name will probably change. We're not entirely sure whether we're going to use Cozie Apple or Cozie itself. The reason why we went with Cozie Apple at the beginning is because we have already another website called Cozie, which is Cozie App, which is the Fitbit website. But this video is going to be just about the Docusaurus website for the documentation of the Apple app. So what you will need to do is first understand where the source file are located. So if you go, like for instance in my case I have it in desktop, so if I go here in Cozie, okay, I already showed this one when I talked about the project overview. If you go inside my website, here you will find all the relevant files to generate the static website. Okay, I will switch now to my IDE. So usually when I program with iOS app, I don't use Xcode because I find it terrible. And instead I use Appcode, which is from IntelliJ. So you can use that to actually work on the Cozie app itself. So basically here maybe you're now familiar with the project structure, so Cozie, Cozie app kit, WatchKit extension, and so forth. But in this video I'm going to use the project non-source code. I'm going to look at my website, which contains all the files relevant to the static website. So if you want to use the terminal, you just have to cd into the directory called my website, because please remember that right now we are inside a Cozie directory. Once you say cd, you can just do yarn and then start, and it's going to start. Alternatively, if you're using Appcode, you can actually go inside the package.json file and click on the start button here, or alternative, which is much easier, I think you can just go here at the top and run yarn start. Okay, they're all the same. So let me just show you with the console. So if you're to the terminal, yeah, so yarn start is going to generate just a local host 3000, and we have our website here. Okay, so let me actually do something probably useful, which I just want to show you side by side the website and the so here we are. Okay, sorry for that. So here we have the project, the website repository, and here we have the website itself. The very nice thing is that you can change things, and changes are going to be updated automatically. So there is a hot reload, so you can just actually type something here and you will see the changes applied here on the side. So basically this website contains different sections. So you have the main page, okay, which is this page here, which is just a normal, is just the main page. And then you have the documentation and blog. The only reason why we decided to use Docusaurus is because while the main page is built with the React, so you kind of need to know a bit of React to change this, and you can actually find information about the main pages. So the main page is inside here, so index.js. So you have to go source folder src pages index. Okay, as you can see, let me collapse that. Here is what you're actually seeing here. So if you're not familiar with the React.js, well, is similar. It has tags here similar to HTML, just slightly different, but is just this page that you will have actually to change using React.js. Okay, so here, as you can see here, if I say lead developer, so let me just show you the auto reload, lead programmer, and I save the file, as you can see, the changes are reflected here. So this is super handy because you can just change and you can see the changes here. And so you will probably not have to deal too much with the main JX file. And that's the reason why we have chosen Docosaurus, is because the documentation is super simple to generate a new file. So let's just dig into the documentation. So if you want to add a new documentation page, it's much simpler than having to write a file using React.js, because we just have to use Markdown. So let me actually show you where this documentation and how you can change it. So all the documentation is inside here, inside the docs folder, okay? So for instance, I want to show you the introduction, and the introduction is much easier to change it. So it's much easier to change a Markdown file, because most of you will actually be, it's just basically kind of a text file. So you have headings, which are defined with the hash character. You have heading 2, so smaller headings, which are defined with the 2 hashes, and so forth. And you can read more about the Markdown. So Markdown syntax. I mean, there are a million of websites in which you can actually learn more about Markdown. So here, as you can see, you can have different type of headings. You can have code, you can have paragraphs, and so forth, line breaks. Just have a look at one of the Markdown guides. But basically, you can just add information here, and it is quite easy to do so. So basically, you just have to type your question, not you type your text, and it will be updated automatically in here. Okay? So you can easily change what is Cozie. So let's see what is Cozie. What is Cozie? Let's say Apple, and you just save the file, and the changes are reflected here. Okay? Also, the other very nice thing of this Docosaurus is that for each heading you will have a navigation here on the side. So as you can see, I'm just navigating here, and I'm navigating between different pages of the documentation. So installation, introduction, create your survey, and so forth. Okay? But let's say that you want to add a new page. So right now I just show you how to change one. But let's say that you want to add a new document. Okay? So if I want to add a new page, let's say installation, I want to create a new one, which is just, we call it examples. Okay, so you just basically have to copy and paste the file in the same, like here, in the same repository. So let me just update, so reload from disk. Okay, so the file was not created, so let me actually go inside here. I think there's a problem with the, so revealing finder. Okay, here we are, documentation. So I just say, instead of installation, we just command C, command V, and we call this one, we call it, we want to rename it. So let's go back here, installation copy. Okay. So we just rename this one. So we click here and then rename, and then we call it example. Okay, so example, we do refactor. So basically what we are going to change, and is very important. So now we're inside the example file, which is exactly as the installation file. So we need to do one thing first. So here, let me disable here this markdown view. So we'll go in ID, and we need to give a unique new ID, which we call it examples. This is the title of the page, which we call it example, or maybe examples, it's up to you. And the sidebar label, so the label that is going to appear here, doesn't have to be examples, but for this simple example, we just call it examples. Okay? Examples. Okay, so here we are going to type a new text in this page, and then blah blah blah. So as you can see here, this example page is not coming up, of course, because we need to add it to the config file. So we just need to go into the configuration file here, or no, not in the configuration, but in the sidebar file, sorry. So we need to go inside, let me show you, let me collapse everything. So we are inside my website, and then we go inside sidebars, okay? So here is where we are going to add the new page, and in docs is where we have added a markdown file, okay? So we go here, installation, and then we go examples, okay? So we then press save, and here we are. The example page is actually here, but maybe if you add a new page, let me see. If you add a new page, we will have to restart the server. So I press start again. It's going to load a new page. So documents, example, in this page. Okay, perfect. So now you can go and change this example page. And if I want to remove the dots, I save it, and all the changes are reflected. So every time you add a new page, unfortunately, you will have to restart the server. We can just press here, run start again, or close the terminal and run it again. Okay? And also you have this nice navigation between pages, and it's quite handy. You can have the dark and light mode, and then you can add links in the navigation, and you have a footer, and that's all. So basically that's it for this documentation. I think I'm going to remove the blog, so I'm not going to go into detail about the blog, but if you want, you can also have the blog in which I'm actually posting right now about the Cozie Apple. I'm not entirely sure that is going to stay, but if you want to add a new blog, you can add. So you can add similarly to how you have added documentation, you can add a new markdown file, and then you can add a new blog. So finally, the last thing, so once you have tested that everything is fine, of course you need to test everything locally, that everything is fine, and once you have tested that and you are happy with the results of the website, so you're happy with this example page, what do you need to do next? You just have to deploy this website, okay? So here in the package.json, I've already written the deploy. So here I can deploy in this way. So right now I'm using both. I'm using like kind of GitHub pages, and I'm using Netlify. The only reason why I'm using both is because in fact I cannot really use the GitHub pages because the Cozie Apple repository on GitHub is private at the moment. So on private repository with a free account on GitHub, you cannot have a GitHub pages website. So if you don't know about GitHub pages, of course you can read more on their official documentation, but basically it lets you have a static website for free on GitHub, which is connected to your repository. So this code will allow you to deploy your website directly over there. But since it's not possible for the moment, I'm using Netlify, okay? So if I log in into the account in Netlify, you will see that I've actually connected this Cozie website here. So it's called Cozie-Apple netlify.app. I've not set up yet a custom domain, and this is connected to my GitHub repository. So every time I'm going to deploy to GitHub pages, GitHub pages is actually not going to be showing because I cannot do it with a free account, but I've connected this Netlify with GitHub pages. So it just gets the code from there and it deploys here. If you don't want to do all this connection, a simpler way, but then eventually every time you have to do it, is just build the project. So instead of doing yarn start, you do yarn build, okay? It's going to build your website. So it's going to generate all these files, these static files. So you just go inside Finder. So you go into Finder here. You go inside the build folder. So you actually drag and drop the build folder in Netlify. Okay, so here you can go into, I mean, now it's connected to a GitHub repository, but if you want to, you can just drop that file into the, so let me actually show you. So let's go in this website. If I want to deploy, drag and drop your site folder here. So I just drag and drop the build folder here, and then it's going to deploy automatically. So you don't even have to connect that. But of course, with GitHub, like that connection is much simpler because you just press a button here and you will see all the changes reflected over there. So finally, let me actually show you the website. So this one, as you can see, localhost 3000 is the local website. And if we go here, this is actually the official website, which is hosted on Netlify and is accessible, and it has HTTPS, so the connection is secure. Thank you very much for listening.